For the third year and counting, Richard Skipper has been celebrating the artists you love.
And what are some of the things that you've really
run out of time, and we've got to talk about your latest. I want to go back a little bit, first of all, and celebrate a true legend.
Richard Skipper is all about celebrating life, art, and his guest body of work.
And did you pursue performing opportunities while you were in high school?
Please join us while he showcases these diverse and talented individuals. Here's Richard Skipper.
And Kassira McKee. Hello, Kassira. How are you?
Good.
It's Sunday night, and it's the night before Valentine's Day, and it's Super Soul Sunday, to take a page from Oprah. We are celebrating soul contracts tonight. We're going to talk about that. This is under the umbrella of Richard Skipper Celebrates. So what are you celebrating tonight, besides being here with me, of course?
The fact that you figured out the technical issue and we could do the show.
You're breaking up a little bit. What was that? What did you just say?
I said the fact that you fixed the technical issue and we could do a show.
I'll talk about that in a moment. The word for tonight, everybody, is adventure. There it is, right there. And if you use the hashtag adventure tonight, you may win a copy of, I've got to reach out over here, Let That Go by Kassira McKee, which, of course, that's the theme of our show tonight. And we're going to be talking about soul contracts tonight, but there's so much to cover. It was an adventure to get here tonight. So I ordered, this week, this is also my birthday week.
Yes, happy birthday.
Thank you. And I treated myself with a new key light. I hope the lighting is good here. So I treated myself. Thank you. I treated myself to a new key light. And when I got the key light, it was not compatible with my current version of Mac. So I had to upgrade to the newest version of Mac. So I called the Apple Store. They upgraded me to the newest version of Mac. And by doing so, we had to clean out my Mac completely by erasing everything in the computer, starting from scratch. And a lot, that meant all my passwords and everything, I had to re-input them. So as you know, because you and I talk daily, I did not remember some of my passwords. So write down everything, everybody. So I finally have gotten back up with everything. So tonight, as Kassira and I start to do tonight's show, and I've done a few shows since everything got set up, but for tonight, for some reason, when I went on, the permissions on my computer would not allow me to access the camera or the microphone. So thanks to Grant with StreamYard, the platform that we use here, he was able to, through different diagnostics, decipher that I needed to go into my preferences and allow the camera and the mic to allow Kassira and I to come together tonight to talk about this. So it delayed our show by an hour, but we appreciate all of you who showed up tonight.
Hi, everybody. Yeah.
So we're going to let it go, and I'm going to start with a random question. And the random question for you tonight is, what is the worst job that you've ever had?
Oh, I've had several, so there's not one worse. Seriously. So, and it wasn't really the job, it was the people it was the owners of the businesses. I worked in the corporate world. I worked on Wall Street. I worked for a few nice people. Then I had bosses that were just horrendous, and they were allowed to be horrendous to people. I've worked for some private business owners. No bueno. No bueno. It's been my experience that a lot of private business owners, I'm not saying all of you, but many private business owners think they can just do whatever they want to whoever they want, and they can get away with it because they run the business. That's one of the many things that's wrong with our planet.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. Okay.
No, I want to talk. Well, here's what I want to talk about. Here's what I want to talk about. the soul contracts with those people.
Well, that's exactly where I was headed with this.
Okay. Because I don't want to talk about them. I don't tell the stories, and I don't relive the experiences.
Exactly.
I don't relive the negativity. I don't perpetuate that negativity. Yet, but the job sector or what's working for other people is just one little tiny speck of all of our soul contracts and our collective consciousness.
But
two or more people create a collective consciousness. But so you and I have a collective consciousness.
Yes,
and we definitely have.
There are three themes that run through your book, and that I think that three themes are, and they are the quicksand, the boomerang effect, and the stories that we continuously tell and that we repeat over and over again. So, with these situations, these people that we encounter in our lives, there are certain people I know in my life, and I'm sure that you have them in your life as well, and I'm sure that most of the people that are watching right now can relate to these people who go from, well, let me use myself for example. When I came to New York in 1979, throughout my 20s, until I met Danny, my husband, at 30, he didn't become my husband until 40. But actually 50, but we've been together a long time. But throughout my 20s, it seems to me, it was that I went from bad roommate situation to bad roommate situation to bad roommate situation. And not only did I go from bad roommate situation to bad roommate situation, but the relationships, the personal relationships that I kept finding myself in were bad as well. What was happening with me is that I would meet someone, I would fall madly in love, and I had what I call the Elizabeth Taylor syndrome. When I met someone, I wanted to marry them. And she said that she did not sleep around. She married the men that she met. And that was me. I wanted to start a life with these people. I wanted to build a home and everything. And that was who I was. And that's who I am. And I ended up giving up my identity. I ended up becoming who I felt that I thought that they wanted me to be. And in many instances, I would, because I'm an entertainer, I would go off to do a show. And as soon as I would come back from doing that show, 9 times out of 10, that relationship was over. They had moved on.
Yes. Oh, yeah. The show / film set romances. Yes.
They had moved on. They had met someone else. It was no longer a part of my life. My heart was broken. It was time to start all over again. And it was, and that was the case with the roommates as well. While I was away, they got another roommate. Things were much different. So, what are your thought processes on why you're the expert in this field, why we continuously create?
Well, let's start from the very beginning. There is a theory that I agree with, and I'll tell you why. I hear a lot of people say, well, we don't choose our friends, we don't choose our family, we don't choose blah blah blah. Well, in actuality, in the world of metaphysics, that's the exact opposite is true. We do. I call it the soul conference before we're reincarnated, or before we come into the third dimension. We actually do agree to play parts in each other's lives. All of us on the planet at the same time agree to be here together at the same time, believe it or not. And there's power in numbers. We all have had many, many, many soul contracts of different kinds, not just with relatives, not just with neighbors and friends, romantic soul contracts. The key to being aware of our soul contracts and whether or not we're on the same page and can continue the contract is mindfulness and observation and listening and asking the right questions. Now, when we're born into a family, You know, a lot of people say, well, I'm stuck in my family, I'm stuck. Well, no, you're not. No, there's many of us who have turned away from very abusive sides of our families. I am very open about the fact that I am a full member of my father's side of the family. The rest of them, no. I really don't. We don't have much left in my stepmother's family. But we're working on that. She's Native American. We're working on that. Yet the other side's just too abusive or negligent, or just not nice. It just didn't work out. We must be mindful of those things and not shy away from admitting that we're not on the same page. Often in our soul contracts. We can end our soul contracts anytime we like. People have ended them with me. I've ended them with them. But the first step in understanding our soul contracts and the collective consciousness we create with those soul contracts is observing and having dialogue, and so that we can feel people out. When I was young, I just could not be without a boyfriend. I had boyfriends. I was gay 3 times, married once. I divorced him. Then I think it was really living in New York, where I was always surrounded by 8 million people, that had me want to be alone. I couldn't wait to be alone, And that was one of the things that taught me that. And my last bad relationship are the 2 things that had me go, oh, I think I'd like to be alone now for a while by choice. And I am single by choice. I'm not saying I won't meet the right person. I meet men all the time, yet I am very discerning, and I do my homework. And sometimes when I call them on something, I think that there's 2 things that I cannot stand: dishonesty and infidelity. Though I just don't feel like you can't turn back from those 2 things. You cannot undo a lie, and you cannot undo being unfaithful to someone. Other things are tolerable. Other things can be worked through. Yet lying and infidelity are my 2 deal breakers when in a romantic soul contract. Now, in friendships, I cannot stand a friend that lies, and I've known them, and they're not in my life anymore.
To me, that is the biggest deal breaker for me. I mean, I don't understand lying. It's not a part of who I am. Anyone who does that, but I want to ask you, when did you first become aware of soul contracts?
I had a discussion with. So if anybody who has my book, if it's handy, on page 32. Is the chapter on collective consciousness, soul contracts, and the law of oneness. And I start the chapter off with a fantastic quote from my friend and Merkaba teacher, Ron Laplace. I learned Merkaba meditation from him in a weekend, and we have known each other for years. And that weekend we discussed something that led to that subject, and he started talking to me about soul contracts. This is many years ago, many years ago, and it stuck with me. And at the same time, one of my dearest girlfriends, who is still a really good friend of mine, was in another marriage that was not great, and she knew it. It took a while for her to end that contract. Yet her husband he was not into anything really spiritual or metaphysical, yet she was deep into it. We used to do a lot of spiritual stuff together, share a lot of spiritual adventures together. And she said, I realized that I am in a soul contract with this man, and I agreed to it, and I've got to see it through. And I said, well, only you can decide when you've seen it through and you're done. And it took her a while, but she did it. He was and they had a child together, and a young child, and she eventually just said, okay, enough, and ended that contract. Now that the child is grown and is an adult, she does not have to interact with this person anymore. That she had to during the child's younger, until she became a legal adult and went to college. And so I have asked, and I'm going to ask my friend Gino Vanelli this question too, because he's really good at this stuff. I'm going to see if he'll be a guest on our show one day and talk about these things. When only we know when the soul contract is done, or we continue with it. And that's where dialogue comes in. If there's an issue and we speak our mind, the other person does not want to discuss it, or they don't want to even, and they let us have it, that might be a sign that soul contract is done, if people are not willing to have dialogue and communicate.
Since you are aware of soul contracts, and you are more attuned to soul contracts.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever been aware that a soul contract was up? And
oh,
yet,
gosh, yes.
And yet you
red flags, lots of red flags, yeah.
And yet you continued beyond that?
I like to give people chances. I like to give people room and give them chances. It depends on the situation and what we created together, what we co-created. I have met many people that I knew soon after I met them that we were not on the same page, that there were certain things that I felt were out of integrity that I absolutely was not going to, and I ended the soul contracts pretty quickly.
But I also love what Maya Angelou says: when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah, that's been coming up a lot lately. It's been on TV commercials lately. I've seen people say this in interviews lately. People have been quoting that a lot lately about all kinds of stuff that's going on that by the way, we've co-created as a populace on the planet. There's power in numbers. So if I meet someone new, no matter who it is, and I feel that they're dishonest, or I find out that they're dishonest, if I feel they are willing to have a dialogue and maybe they're not aware of it, I will maybe attempt to bring it up. Most people don't want to talk. Most people I have found do not want to discuss it. It's because they're humiliated. It's a form of humiliation. Humiliation, besides anger and fear, humiliation is one of the top 3 feelings that most human beings feel these days in some way or somehow. There was a poll taken a couple years ago between heterosexual men and women. And they were asked, what's the number one, I can't even remember where this poll came from, but I saw it. What is the number one fear of yours in a relationship? This is shocking. This is shocking. The men said being humiliated by women. The women said being killed by a man.
Are you? Oh my God.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Do you know how many men kill women on the planet?
Of course.
I don't want to take this down a dark road, yet they do. Women, to get rid of them, men will kill women. Not everybody, obviously, but that was what women were most afraid of, and men are afraid of being humiliated.
I was having a conversation with friends this afternoon at brunch, and we were talking, and the question came up about our new mayor, who I really like a lot here in New York. I think he's trying very hard. I think he's got a lot on his plate. I also feel that he's coming into a city that is riddled with a lot of violence right now. But the problem right now is we have more guns on the street than we have people on the street right now, and that's a big issue. But we also are living
Welcome to the United States.
But we are living in a society right now where people are using guns as a point of resolution instead of, and when you pull that trigger, there's not a second chance 9 times out of 10. And so when you've got children that have these images on television on any given night, and this is an experiment that I want everyone to try. And I want everyone, not right now because we're watching this show, but come back and let us, Kassira and I know this. go to your TV set and just channel surf from your first channel all the way through all your channels, and come back and tell me how many violent images you count.
Oh, yeah.
And you are going to be amazed at how many violent images you will see just by channel surfing. And when I tell people to do this, they are blown away by the number of violent images that they will see. And these on any given day are what children are seeing, bombarded and thrown at them.
Yes.
And so this is the give and take that a lot of our kids are dealing with now. And it's, and talk about soul contracts. These are the contracts that are being written with our kids now. And I mean, forget about getting into adulthood. Many of them are not getting that far, as far as adulthood. I also feel that there are so many levels that we can unravel here that people, I am seeing, I think also that on this planet right now, and you and I have talked about this, about how wounded this planet is right now. But I think that we are all paying the price because we have created this.
We've co-created it.
We have co-created a world of entitlement and a world of everyone feeling me, instead of we. And we need to think of the bigger picture instead of what's in it for me. And again, that's where the soul contracts come in. What is the bigger good? What are we bringing into this together instead of what's in it just for me?
I'd like to read a quote from my book on the top of page 33 for those that have it. And I see there's some people watching that I know have the book. And this is what I say. Consider this. Because we are all expressions of higher consciousness, we are all one with the one universal higher consciousness. We are all of the same spiritual energy and are karmically connected. This is the law of oneness. Because we are all one, our consciousness is one, and what we think, feel, believe, do, and say collectively is what we manifest collectively. Majority rules. There's power in numbers, as I've stated before, and it's written in my book. I quote Bruce Lipton as saying that 70% of the human being thoughts are negative.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a handful of years ago. Things have changed. People's thoughts are even more negative these days. And but there are those of us who really believe in raising our own vibration. That's where it starts, so that we can raise the vibration of our planet. Human beings have evolved as a species since the beginning of time. If anyone thinks that we have reached the end of our evolution, they're kidding themselves. We are still evolving as a species.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly believe that now we are really being called to evolve into a higher vibrational beings to raise the vibration on the planet.
But do you know that a lot of people are fighting that calling?
No, I think a lot of people aren't aware of it. And then when people like us tell them, they don't believe it. Because they don't feel like it's within them. It's outside them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I had a wonderful discussion the other day so I'm the only non-Christian in my family. Now, I do have a bachelor's degree in metaphysical science, and some people refer to people like me as a metaphysical Christian. I've also been called a Christian Buddhist and a Buddhist Christian. I've been called everything. I don't care. Everyone, just about everyone except my brothers are Christians, are professed Christians. And I had a really long, fabulous discussion with a dear friend of mine, also in Dallas. She's an amazing performer and a musical director, and I love her, who was telling me about a new a church that she goes to in Dallas that I shall remain nameless, but she said it's really different. It's very metaphysical. Everybody in there is a professed Christian, yet their beliefs are on my page. Their beliefs are that we are all living expressions of our Creator. In Buddhism, we say that we all possess Buddhahood, all of us. And before the historic Buddha that we know about, there's been many Buddhas across the eons of time.
Mm-hmm.
But the Buddha that people most recognize was Siddhartha or Gautama or Shakyamuni. We call him Shakyamuni, which means sage of the Shakya tribe. He was a member of the Shakya tribe in northern India. We believe he's taught before he died that he said, he said, when I die, don't erect statues of me. I'm not a god. I am you and you are me. You possess what I possess. And he said, do not look outside yourselves for anything. You are an island. Look on your island for what you desire and require, and everything. And I refer to my life as an island. I refer to everybody's lives as an island. And I always go, I will often say, well, on my island, we la la la, so in Buddhism, we believe everybody, as was originally taught, possesses Buddhahood. We're all Buddhas. In metaphysical Christianity, it is taught that everyone possesses Christ consciousness, not just Christ. And if more people could take on these ideas instead of saying, well, it's in God's hands. It's in God's hands, and I'll do whatever I want, and whatever God decides, I'll go with it. You're co-creating with your God. We are co-creating together and with our Creator. It's a triad. Just like I call it the Holy Trinity personally, but it's the Holy Trinity.
How many times over the last couple of years, with there was that big mega church where all those people got ill with COVID early on.
I don't know.
And
there's a lot of them.
And so many people were saying, well, if it's God's will for me to get ill, it's God's will for me to get ill. Mm-hmm. And I'm going, well, I cannot believe that it would be God's will for the hospitals to get overrun, and for the doctors and nurses to be overworked, and for there to be a shortage of vaccines, and for there to be a shortage of masks, and for there to be a shortage of toilet. That is not the image that I have. And so, again, it comes from this point of selfishness, entitlement, instead of saying, look at the bigger picture. What can I do to try to see what I can do to make this bigger picture a little bit brighter and better than a darker place? I just don't understand how that bit of selfishness has seeped so dark into the souls of so many people.
Well, first of all, I'm not here to debate anybody's religious beliefs.
I'm not debating anyone's beliefs.
Oh, I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying you are. I'm speaking for myself.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot change anybody else's belief system. We can make suggestions. I hesitate to call it selfish, because that's maybe your opinion or somebody else's opinion, that it's selfish. For them, it's their belief system. It's not selfish. What anybody thinks or believes is what they think and believe. In the book, I have a template for affirmative prayers to say out loud. And if we are letting go of someone or some people or something, the first thing in fact, I'll read it. I'll read the first part of the template of the prayer. In fact, and the last chapter is a whole chapter of templates that you can fill in the blanks, and so I start out with, the purpose of this prayer is to bless and release blank from my life, environment, existence, and reality. I recognize that fill in the blank is whatever you call God. I call it higher consciousness. Some people call it Yahweh, the divine spirit, divine divinity. I recognize that, I'll say, higher consciousness is the source of all, and that I am a living expression of this higher consciousness. I also recognize that I co-create my reality with higher consciousness and others, and that we are all one. Here's a meaty part of the prayer before you go into your personal stuff on the prayer. I am who I am. I do what I do. I desire what I desire, and I require what I require. I am the only person I can control, and my soul is on its own journey of evolution. I realize, and if we want to talk about people, we're talking about really, I got to tell you, I will say I would say at least half of sessions that I do with people, private sessions that I do with people, are about releasing other people.
Mm-hmm.
And there are situations, and there are some things from the past that people are, and thoughts and feelings that people are called to release for their own happiness and well-being, and also locations and places. I'm going to read aloud the template to release a soul contract. I think that'd be a little juicy exercise. Now we're going to get juicy. Okay, ready? The purpose of this prayer is to bless and release the soul contract I agreed to with, fill in the blank, for my life, environment, existence, and reality. I recognize that He is the source of all that, or God, or she, or whatever you want to call it. And I am a living expression of higher consciousness. I also recognize that I co-create my reality with higher consciousness and others, and that we are all one. We have to continuously remind ourselves that we are all one. We're all connected. There's no separation, really. People would like to energetically separate each other, and we can energetically separate each other. But yet I want people to know that there is a way for you to end a soul contract and not hate someone, and not hold a grudge, and not pull negative thoughts from your warehouse of your subconscious. I am who I am. I do what I do. I desire what I desire, and I require what I require. I am the only person I can control, and my soul is on its own journey of evolution. Now the other person, I'm just going to use the term he, or you can put their name in. He is who he is. He does what he does. He desires what he desires and requires what he requires. He's also a living expression of higher consciousness. I cannot control him. He is on his own journey of evolution. I understand that our souls made a contract agreement to share an experience together in this lifetime. I also understand that I can end this soul contract at any time. I thank him for agreeing to this soul contract with me, for participating in my life experience and for the lessons. I now feel that our conscious level experience has run its course, and I no longer desire or require this soul contract with him in my life experience. Therefore, for my health, joy, freedom, well-being, peace of mind, and evolution, and with love, gratitude, honor, and appreciation, I bless him. I release him for my soul contract and for my life, environment, existence, and reality unto higher consciousness, to sublimate in whichever way higher consciousness chooses. Sublimate in this term means process. To process. I let it go. I let it go. I let it go. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. And so may it be, or however you end a prayer. Amen. So may it be, and so it is, and so it harm none, I like to say. And I've got templates for letting go of everything. That is just an example of letting go of a soul contract. Now, it's really important. I have a chapter on how to bless and release people, places, and things. Before we're going to release a soul contract that we are not comfortable with, we know that it's run its course. There's no common ground, we can't tolerate each other, whatever it is, it's important for us to the first step is forgiving ourselves for agreeing to the contract in the first place, and writing down all of the positive things that came out of it. And even if they didn't do anything that you think positive, what's the positive for us? The lesson. That's a great positive. We learned a lesson. When I meet new people and I discover early on that, my thing, lying and possibly unfaithful, possibly coming to be unfaithful, or just lying in general with people, and people that maybe don't have all their faculties and they use it on other people, mental faculties. That's a nice way of putting it. I first forgive myself for allowing it to begin in the first place, because maybe I didn't quite realize it. I've met people that are so good at hiding who they really are that even I get a little tricked at first. I get a little tripped up at first. You're smiling. No. And I give them a chance. And then when I discover it, I will attempt to let them know I discovered it if they want to talk about it. typically they don't want to talk about it, so I just end it and bye-bye. But then forgiving ourselves first, writing down the positive things something positive that came out of it, and the lesson learned so that we don't make that mistake again. Now, if we make the mistake again, we're human and we're spiritual beings in human bodies. We recognize, oh, look, I did it again. Oh, okay, well, I'm going to nip it in the bud again, and I'm going to really, really be more mindful next time around so that I don't get even this far with it, and then we must bless and release the other person or the other thing or the place or the situation or the job or whatever you're releasing. Blessing first, we thank the other party or the other thing involved for agreeing to have some sort of role in our life experience. That's really important. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this time for me to again realize the lesson, and perhaps I won't make the mistake again. Do I promise to not make the mistake again? No. Do I have the intention that I won't? Sure. Do I determine not to do it? Sure. Yet if I do, I'm not going to be hard on myself. I'm going to recognize that, oh, isn't that interesting? I didn't recognize took me a long time to recognize the last time. Okay, I learned the lesson again. Okay, moving on. And then I have those blessing and releasing prayers in the book that you fill in the blanks. And let me tell you something. When you say that out loud, it's so powerful. When we forgive ourselves, there's this, when you say the words out loud, you just, it's magical. You can feel the heavy energy just lifting out of your crown chakra. I like to print them out. I'll type them up and print them out or write them down and tack them up on the wall where I can see them. And I put my hands up because I'm a fourth level Reiki master. So I like to exchange energy with the universe. So I'll put my hands up to exchange energy with the universe and be open. Okay, I'm open. I'm open for this. So first, let me forgive myself. I forgive myself. Now let me bless the other entity or the other side. I'm going to bless this person so that when I remember it, we're not going to wipe the memories. It's not like we're having a frontal spiritual lobotomy and we're going to wipe the memories from our head. We're not. We're going to remember. Yet we're going to release all the negative in such a way that when we think of that person or that situation, or again, we're not pulling from our subconscious negative storage in our warehouse and we only pull the good things that came out of it and the good things that we learned. I do it all the time.
And we also, and I also.
That's why I was able to continue speaking to two of my exes, one of which passed away.
Farmers.
Oh, well, that's what you say. Yeah. I like that word. I just haven't fully taken that in yet.
Yeah,
but previous people. I have forgiven. I forgave one who was really terrible to such a point that we were able to become friends on Facebook. I was glad he got remarried and adopted her kids. I was thinking better her than me, honestly. Better her than me. You got somebody, and she's putting up with you. Get it. Get what you got to get. So blessing and releasing is so powerful for us. It's really, really powerful for us. I do it all the time. I did it recently with two people, and because when we think of them now, when I think of them, I actually kind of laugh to myself like, oh, wasn't that an interesting little journey? And then doing the actual releasing prayers. People have told me when they read them slowly and they really feel it, when they get to the point where we say, I let it go, I let them go, I let him go, I let her go, they can feel it. Like they get sweaty and the energy goes to their body and they say it really slowly and they take a deep breath and they can literally feel that holding on energy leaving their body. And I always tell people afterwards, don't start doing a chore, don't turn the TV on. Take some time to really soak that in. Soak in the fact that you just let go of that soul contract. Everything. Whether we're letting go of a job, we're letting go of a place where we had neighbors. While we're letting go of,
yesterday, letting go of today, letting go of tonight, you know.
When we're letting go of material things, maybe something that someone gave us, maybe family heirlooms that we feel loyal to hold on to. There are soul contracts connected to those inanimate objects. You know, something you buy from something on Marketplace, guess what? You had a little soul contract with that person, you know. And when we let go of those things and we remember that person, you know, we bought it from, thank you so much for allowing me to have this in my life that was yours. Thank you for this little soul contract. I am now gifting it to someone else for them to enjoy. That's a really good way of letting go of material things. I know many people tell me all the time.
We have a comment here, and maybe you can respond to this. And the comment is, well, obviously, I am too service and need to think more deeply.
That is not true, Doug McAllister. I know Doug McAllister. Doug McAllister is the sweetest teddy bear ever.
Okay, there you have it, Doug.
Well, Doug, maybe we need to have a little sesh. He's in Dallas. He's also he is Wayne Smith's best friend.
Oh, I love Wayne. So
we love Wayne. We love Wayne. In fact, I think we should have. I think I want to. When we touched on humiliation, we might want to talk about that on a show about the feelings that are combined humiliation, because in my opinion, Wayne experienced humiliation. He'll tell you he experienced a really humiliating moment on national television. And I love this story, and I'm so proud of him that he moved on.
Is it something you can share with us now? Is it something?
No. I want him to tell the story. No. I want him to tell the story. I'm gonna see if he'll come on the show on Sunday and tell the story himself, because I would have been mortified had I been him and this would have happened. Yet he, he tells the story much better because he's so funny.
Oh, of course.
He's so funny, and he's an entertainer. He's entertaining, but yeah. Anyway, Doug, you are a sweet man, and I don't know if you want to dig deeper. We'll talk about it. Do you need a spoon or a shovel? We'll talk about that. Somebody else said something that I want to address.
Okay.
I think it was Howard. Howard says sometimes being assertive is required. Well, let's look at the word assertive. What everybody has a different. Here's another thing on vocabulary. I have a fantastic chapter on negative language and words we must strike from our vocabulary. There are alternative words that I think would be maybe more useful and not quite as pushy.
I want to address that too after you speak.
So sometimes being, yes, assertive, but you know, what's everybody's, you know, especially with soul contracts and collective consciousness, what do people consider to be assertive? What's the difference between assertive? What's the difference between aggressive? And what's the difference between instigating? They all have a little bit different. The definitions of these words are a little bit, you know. I like to, if I'm having an issue with someone that I think is intolerable, I will, if I feel that I'm intuitive, I'm an empath, so I typically feel whether someone's willing to have a conversation or not. If they're not, and I feel like the communication is necessary, I'll send a text or an email, which they don't like, which people typically don't like, because they want the chance to tell me off. And tell me off, have a dialogue with me. Yet they don't want to have a dialogue. You know, they just want to be right. That's right. The other thing. That's the other thing we have to consider in soul contracts is are either of us or any of us addicted to being right? Mm-hmm. Well, we live on a planet right now full of people addicted to being right. Mm-hmm. It's come out more and more and more.
And what does that mean? What exactly does that mean? Because for me, is it important for them to feel that they are right? Because for me, I don't always have to have the last word, number one. Number two, I've reached the point at this point in my life where sometimes I can just say, what exactly would you like the outcome to be? And
yeah, there's a lot of, I'm glad you brought that up. There's a lot of people that have an idea of what the end's going to be without telling the other person, but it's called an agenda.
right.
They're not honest about their agenda. That's a huge thing that's wrong with romantic relationships, is that people aren't honest with each other
But sometimes
about what their actual expectations are and what their agenda is.
But sometimes
I'm going to talk about that on my show this week. We're going to talk about hidden agendas in relationships, especially sexually, especially sexual preference. There's a lot of people out there that really want to be polyamorous. They want an open relationship, but they're not honest about that at the beginning. And then people get deep into a relationship, and then they go, "Hey, why don't we invite another man into the relationship?" Oh, what? What? Why don't we invite another woman in? What are you talking about? Well, I was thinking maybe we could see other people. I just married you. What are you talking about? People are so fearful of losing someone that they won't be honest with them. And I'm so, when I'm starting to get close to getting deeper into a relationship with a man, I ask questions. A lot of men don't like it. They don't want to tell me the truth. And sometimes they lie. And I'm going to talk about that. My show coming up, my solo show on YouTube is an adult show. It's adult content. I'm going to talk about some things that are not necessarily PG, not X-rated, no nudity or pictures of nudity, but we will talk about those juicy poo things that would. So I want to talk about.
Before you move on, I want to address this with Howard. But sometimes being assertive, and we'll go back to the E word, and you know who I'm talking about. But maybe,
okay, so let's tell the people why we do that.
Okay, because there's a certain person who this is.
No. Let's tell the people why we say that instead of the full name.
Because we're not going to empower this person by mentioning this person's name.
Of course not. But we're also not going to put them on the spot and embarrass them. However, I do this so that I don't conjure their energy back into my life.
But if I choose to be assertive by walking away from a situation rather than putting more fuel on the fire, which may be what they want to achieve, because there are certain people that want that in their lives, and you know who they are. Everybody knows who they are. There are certain drama queens. There are certain people who thrive on that. We see them every single day. Every person in this chat right now are on social media. There are trigger words. There are certain things that people do every single night on every single network. I don't care what side you're on politically. There are people who say certain phrases that are meant to trigger. And those trigger words are meant to rile your base up, regardless of what side you're on, so that you're going to get up there and get angry about this. I could go on Facebook and say something right now that could trigger a whole bunch of people. And some people may block me on Facebook or unfriend me or whatever, even if I'm joking about it, because it triggers certain things. I'm obviously not going to do that, but we both know who, what those things are. But why add to that? It's for me, I will walk away, and that's being assertive as well. I don't need to. I will choose my battles wisely.
Sure.
And my battles are not going to be an arena for the amusement or for the entertainment value of a lot of people that don't know me or who are not going to matter to me in the long run.
As you know, I know some Facebook leaders. I have an old friend. I've known this person since, we were kids, who bleeds all over Facebook every day. And and tells the stories so eloquently and so beautifully that she does suck people in. She has yet to watch my show. She knows all about it. I've actually counseled her before several times. I've got now. Please, are all of you out there going, "Oh my God, she's talking about me"? No, I know a lot of you. A lot of you I've known since childhood. I have a lot of female friends since childhood. But this particular one is just determined to suck people into her misery, and it's daily. And I have counseled other people that, like her, just refuse to listen. Here's what they want. And I'm smarter than they think I am. When I try to when I attempt to steer them away and have them let go of their negative thinking, their negative beliefs, their negative opinions about other people, their constant expectations that they feel are not ever being fulfilled, what they're really attempting to do with me is to get me to teach them some sort of way to get it to work for them. That's not my job. And I tell people all the time, okay, so what's the issue? Okay, are you determined to hold on to this? Because if you're determined to hold on, I cannot help you.
Mm-hmm.
If you continue to do this, I cannot help you. I used to be a vocal coach, and I told all of my students, if you're a smoker and you're complaining about, I used to smoke. Years ago, I smoked, and I quit smoking cigarettes over 20 years ago. If you're having vocal issues and you're a smoker, there's nothing I can do for you. So if you're complaining about your voice or your chords, or your rasp, you can't belt too long because you lose your voice, and you're a smoker, I'm not the person for you. If you're willing to stop smoking and you want to better your voice and become a better vocalist, I'm your gal. It's the same thing. It's actually the same principle. I want to read something from my book on page 63, and it's under the chapter of 5 reasons we hold on. And it's reason 2 is habits and addictions. The longer we hold on to the habits of thinking, feeling, speaking, and behaving negatively, they become addictions. We also become addicted to being right about them and to the negative stories we tell about them. And so when something negative happens, a lot of people will call a friend, call all their friends, tell them the negative story to get them to agree with them, to validate their point of view. Okay. My friends and I, when we tell each other our stories, we always, and I don't use the word always very often, and I'm using it right now. We always figure out what's the resolution? What's the solution? What do you think? What do you think about this? Was I right? Was I wrong? We all ask each other this question. Was that a right approach? Was it the wrong approach? Should I, what do you have an idea? Do you have a suggestion? It's not just telling the stories over and over again. And it's not just calling I've known several people who, God, I know several people that call everybody they know. I have two friends. I have 2 people in my life that are both spiritual people, my Reiki master and my, we've already, about my friend Aaron in LA, who's a clairvoyant, who's clairaudient and clairvoyant. We will bounce things off of each other. And it's not so that they can go, "Oh, yes, you're absolutely right." Because guess what? Sometimes they don't think I'm correct about something, because I'm only human. If I were correct, I wouldn't be doing these shows, and I wouldn't have had to write a damn book. I work my own stuff. I work my own prayers, and I work my own material. What's incensing is people that won't listen to another side. I called somebody on something recently and was told that this person said, "Oh, I've been protecting myself from people like you all my life." Well, guess what? Other people have said this to you, and who's the common denominator? I mean, think about it.
Well, last night, I had Matthew Corzine.
He's adorable.
Yes.
He's adorable.
Well, if you heard what he said, he said that as an acting teacher, there are some people that say that his class is the safest space on earth, And in the very same space, there's some people who say that it's a dangerous space. Kassira, let's give away a book. And I say, let's give away your book. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this up. Now there are, I see, I know that the Super Bowl is going on tonight. I see that
the Cowboys aren't playing, so most of my people and I are not involved.
Okay, so I am. I don't know how many people are seeing on your screen. On my screen, I see that 8 people are watching, but I'm only seeing that 4 people have put in #adventure. So I'm going to give another minute. So if you all put in #adventure, you have a chance to win the book.
And you only need to do it once. You don't need to do it over and over again.
You don't need to do it again. If you've already won the book, give it to a friend.
Yes, absolutely.
And we can just keep this going. Doug McAllister, I think I'm just a bitch. Assertive.
Oh, I love you, Doug. That's exactly what my show my shows Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on YouTube. I call it the Happy Hour Show. It'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 Central, 5 Mountain Time, 4 California. And that's exactly the kind of people that will be watching, and I'm so glad. I want people to speak their mind without hurting others.
Okay, here we go. We're going to
Dougie would never hurt anybody. Well, maybe you would.
Tasha Lombardi, you are our winner tonight. So, Tasha, if you will send me richard@richardskipper.com, your mailing address, then I will make sure that you will get the book and that will go out tonight. So please send that to me. And we are going to be wrapping everything up right now. Again,
we need to talk about Richard's been doing this now going on 3 years and doesn't get paid for it. So I'm encouraging people to contribute to Richard on PayPal.
You don't need to say that, but thank you.
Well, but you do. Listen, people talk about the hardest working person in show business. You do interviews almost daily, and you do your homework. You read people's books, you read their bios, you put the work in.
Well, I go to bed with a good book every night. Would
it be Let That Go?
Let That Go. I don't let that go. I take that to bed with me too.
Oh gosh!
I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank you for your patience tonight. Like I said, it was out of but we got here and we stuck to it. We didn't let that go. We showed up. Mm-hmm. Next week, we will be back on time at 5 o'clock next Sunday night. Please tell your friends. And the theme of next week is why we hold on. Reasons why we hold on. So I want to thank everybody who showed up tonight. If this is your first time here, I thank all of you who keep coming back. That means a lot to both Kassira and myself. If this is your first time here, I hope it will not be your last. This is just one of the many shows that I do. Yes. And Kassira, God bless her, is about to branch off and do her own show. But that doesn't mean she's leaving me.
No. This is the PG version.
Yes, we are joined at the hip, and we will be here every Sunday night and then some Saturdays because there are special shows that are coming up because of certain things. Elizabeth Taylor's birthday, Barbara Streisand's birthday, Doris Day's birthday, and I've got
all the divas
on their birthdays. They're all falling on Sundays. But on those Sundays, we will do the shows on a Saturday night. So I hope
if I'm available,
if you're available, and if you're not, maybe we'll pick another night during the week. We'll make it happen. So that we can stay in touch with all of you. Mm-hmm. So if this is your first time tonight, please subscribe here to Richard Skipper Celebrates. Leave a comment on YouTube about what your thoughts are on tonight's show. Share this with your friends. I also end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. Go to your Facebook friends list and reach out to the third name that pops up. Actually, make it the fourth name that pops up. And then I want you to go to Amazon.com and I want you to order 2 copies of Let That Go. I want you to keep 1 copy for yourself, and I want you to send 1 to the 4th friend that pops up. And then after you've ordered that copy for that 4th friend, I want you to pick up the phone and I want you to call that 4th friend. And I want you to let them know that you've just ordered the book for them. And I want you to let them know what they mean in your lives. I've lost a lot of friends over the past year through COVID or age or whatever. And after they've passed away, I have seen everybody talk about how much they love them and pictures and everything posted all over social media and everything. And I'm thinking, well, I can speak for myself. For all of you who took the time to send me special birthday greetings and everything on my birthday, it made me feel wonderful. And we should do that for everybody. I know that we can't do it for everybody every single day, but it's important that we let the people in our lives know what they mean to us. And that's the true message of what soul contracts are about as well, letting these people know what they mean in our lives. And if they're not adding to our lives, we can tear up those soul contracts. We can let them go. Let that go. So anyway, I have a dear friend, David Friedman, and he always says, we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. And I always say, if you're going to go out in a boat, make sure you bring a skipper along. Now, the star of the show, it's the 2 of us together, but the real star, in my opinion, is Kassira McKee. Because she wrote the book. So I'm going to leave the screen and give her the final word tonight. Please be kind to each other. Please, if you don't already, I have a newsletter. It's called The Skipper's Guide. And as soon as I get off of this show, I'm going to put it together so that it can come out at midnight tonight. Go to richardskipper.com and sign up for the Skipper's Guide, and it will be in your mailbox at midnight tonight and every Sunday night at midnight, and you will see who all my guests are this week. Everybody have a great week. And now, Kassira, it's all yours.
Thanks, darling. I write the book that makes the whole world think. Thank you, Barry Manilow. I'm going to read I just made myself laugh. So the show, somebody said, what's your show? It's the Kassira McKee channel. It's an experiment tomorrow, so just be patient with me. I call it my happy hour show. It's not an hour. It's anywhere from 15 minutes to maybe a half hour tops. For everybody to grab a snack and a cocktail or whatever you drink. If you don't drink, grab something else. And we're going to talk about juicy adult stuff. Tomorrow, I'm going to attempt this. Technically, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but it will be on YouTube. Kassira McKee on YouTube. And tomorrow we're gonna go further into, since it's Valentine's Day and Valentine's Day week, I'm gonna go deeper into that subject of when people are not dishonest with each other when they meet each other romantically, and go into some of those deeper topics of people not being honest about what it is they expect and desire and require. A lot of it is sexual. It's not just financial. It's not just, it's not just the nuts and bolts and the brooms and the dustpans. It's a lot of deeper stuff. So we're gonna check into those juicy subjects on my show. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 5 Mountain, 4 West Coast time. So what I'd like to do is, he's not watching right now, but I did mention him earlier. And I did learn Merkaba meditation from him, Ron Laplace. I have a bachelor's degree in metaphysical science. He has a doctorate in metaphysics. And he's a certified teacher of awakening the heart, certified practitioner and instructor of acutonic sound healing, as well as also being a Merkaba teacher, Merkaba meditation teacher. Here is a quote that he contributed to me for this book. He has homes in Canada and here in Colorado. He teaches all over the world, and his wife, Dorothy, is also magnificent. She is a teacher as well, and she does really great past life regression sessions. They're just really connected, hooked up, plugged in people. So here's the quote that he contributed to my book on the top of the chapter on page 32. The people in our lives who truly serve us are not always the ones we like the most. Often it is the ones who we have the most difficulty being around who offer us the greatest gifts. The contract is formed in a love that goes so deep that they agree to do the hardest of jobs in this life and this relationship. They take on a role that is so important for teaching us something about ourselves that we often end up disliking, disowning, or even hating them. In doing so, they prove what real love is. Its boundaries go beyond the narrow picture of this single lifetime and move into the timeless love that exists only outside of the ego and the need to be liked. So think about that for a minute. When I say letting go of toxic people, I don't mean disowning them. And I'd never say hate them, ever. And you dislike them, okay. But what I teach is blessing both of ourselves and releasing that other person unto higher consciousness in a positive way so that we can refer back to that positivity and stop all the negative thoughts and telling those negative stories and perpetuating the negativity over and over and over again. I love you all for watching. We'll see you next Sunday. Bye.